Opening. The ambulance was supposed to be empty. It had just dropped off a patient at Mercy General Hospital and was parked in the employee lot, waiting for its next call. But Canine Ranger wouldn't stop barking at it. For 3 hours, the German Shepherd stood guard outside the vehicle, his barks echoing through the parking garage like an alarm that wouldn't quit. When paramedic Sarah Williams finally opened the back doors to prove there was nothing inside, what she found would haunt her forever. Welcome to Saved by Tales. Before we dive into this chilling story of a canine's relentless determination, uncovering a horrifying truth hidden in plain sight, tell me in the comments, have you ever seen a dog bark obsessively at something that seemed completely normal? And if you believe these incredible animal instincts deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button and join our community celebrating the heroes with 4 paws who see dangers we can't. It started with a routine call that never ended. Paramedic Rebecca Torres was supposed to transport a patient from downtown Metro Hospital to Mercy General for specialized cardiac surgery. The trip should have taken 30 minutes, followed by a quick equipment check and restocking before her next assignment. That was at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon in Denver, Colorado. By 6 p.m., Rebecca hadn't responded to any radio calls. Her ambulance, Unit 23, was found parked in the employee section of Mercy General's parking garage, doors locked, equipment apparently untouched. Security footage showed the ambulance arriving at 3:15 p.m., but there was no sign of Rebecca exiting the vehicle. It's like she just vanished, Detective Amanda Cross told the assembled search team at 7:30 p.m. Her personal belongings are still in the front cab, her radio is on, but there's no trace of her anywhere in the hospital. The hospital's security chief, Marcus Webb, had checked every corridor, every department, even the restricted areas. Rebecca Torres simply wasn't in the building. Yet her ambulance sat in the parking garage like a puzzle piece that didn't fit. Maybe she got a ride with someone, suggested one of the paramedics. Had a family emergency, but Rebecca's phone went straight to voicemail, and her emergency contacts hadn't heard from her. More concerning, Rebecca was known for her reliability. In 8 years as a paramedic, she'd never abandoned her post or failed to follow protocol. Officer David Martinez arrived at 8:15 p.m. with his canine partner Ranger. The 6-year-old German Shepherd was the department's most experienced search and rescue dog, with a track record that bordered on miraculous. If anyone could pick up Rebecca's trail, it would be Ranger. Martinez began the search in the hospital lobby, where Rebecca would have brought her patient. Ranger immediately picked up a scent trail, following it through the emergency department, up to the cardiac unit, and back down to the parking garage. But instead of continuing to track Rebecca's movements, Ranger stopped dead in front of Unit 23 and began to bark. "What is it, boy?" Martinez asked, approaching the ambulance. The vehicle looked perfectly normal, white and red paint job, Denver Health logo on the sides, emergency equipment visible through the back windows. Ranger's barking intensified. He positioned himself directly in front of the rear doors, his body rigid, tail stiff, every muscle focused on the vehicle. This wasn't his usual tracking behavior. This was his alert posture, the stance he took when he'd found something significant. "Has anyone checked inside the ambulance?" Martinez asked. Security Chief Webb. "Briefly," Webb replied. "We looked through the windows, made sure it was secure. Didn't see any reason to do a full search since Rebecca wasn't in there." Martinez nodded, but Ranger's behavior was telling a different story. The dog began scratching at the rear doors, whining between barks, displaying an urgency that Martinez had learned never to ignore. "I need to examine this vehicle," Martinez announced. Sarah Williams, the senior paramedic on duty, produced the keys to Unit 23. "I'll show you around," she offered. "But I'm telling you, there's nothing unusual about this ambulance." Williams unlocked the rear doors and swung them open. The interior looked exactly like any other emergency medical vehicle. Stretcher in the center, medical equipment mounted on the walls, supplies organized in clearly marked compartments. But Ranger's reaction was immediate and violent. The dog lunged toward the open ambulance, barking so frantically that several people in the parking garage turned to stare. Martinez had to physically restrain him to prevent him from jumping inside. "Easy, boy," Martinez said. But Ranger was beyond easy. The dog was in full alert mode, focused entirely on something inside the ambulance that human eyes couldn't detect. "He's never acted like this unless he's found something," Martinez told the group. "I need to do a complete search of this vehicle." Williams looked skeptical. "Officer, I've been in and out of this ambulance half a dozen times today." "There's nothing." "Then it won't take long to prove that," Martinez interrupted. "Ranger, search." The German Shepherd leaped into the ambulance and immediately began working his way around the interior, nose to every surface. His behavior was systematic but urgent, checking each compartment, each piece of equipment, each corner of the vehicle. When he reached the built-in storage bench along the left side of the ambulance, Ranger's behavior changed completely. He stopped barking and began to whine, a high, distressed sound that made everyone in the parking garage uncomfortable. "What's in that compartment?" Martinez asked, pointing to the storage bench where Ranger was focused. "Medical supplies," Williams replied. "Blankets, extra stretcher sheets, backup equipment, nothing unusual." But when she opened the compartment, Ranger practically dove inside, his whining becoming more urgent. Martinez pulled out a flashlight and examined the space more carefully. The compartment was deeper than it appeared from the outside, extending further back under the vehicle's frame. Most of the space was filled with the expected medical supplies, but Ranger was focused on the very back corner, where the shadows were deepest. Martinez reached into the compartment and felt around the back wall. His fingers encountered something that made his blood run cold, a seam in what should have been a solid wall. Pressing on it revealed that this wasn't the back of the compartment at all, but a false wall that gave way under pressure. "Sarah," Martinez said quietly, "step back from the ambulance." "What? Why?" "Just do it, now." Martinez carefully pushed against the false wall until it slid aside, revealing a hidden compartment about 3 feet deep. Inside, bound and gagged, were 2 people, Rebecca Torres and Dr. Elena Martinez, a cardiologist from Mercy General who had been reported missing that morning. Both women were alive but barely conscious, showing signs of having been drugged. More chilling was the evidence that they weren't the first victims. The hidden compartment contained restraints, syringes, and a collection of hospital ID badges from staff members who had quit or transferred over the past year. The revelation that Unit 23 had been modified with a hidden compartment sent shockwaves through the hospital. Detective Cross immediately ordered the vehicle sealed as a crime scene and began interviewing everyone who had access to the ambulance fleet. The investigation quickly focused on Marcus Webb, the security chief who had been among the first to search for Rebecca and had steered investigators away from a thorough examination of the ambulance. Webb had master keys to all the vehicles, Detective Cross explained to the task force that formed within hours. He knew the hospital layout, staff schedules, and security protocols. He could move around freely without raising suspicion. Security footage review revealed a disturbing pattern. Over the past 18 months, Webb had been present during the disappearances of at least 6 hospital employees. In each case, he'd volunteered to help with the initial search efforts and had access to the parking areas where their vehicles were found. He was using his position to identify targets, Cross continued. Healthcare workers leaving late shifts, people who wouldn't be missed immediately. He'd drug them, hide them in the modified ambulance, then transport them to a secondary location. As the investigation expanded, the full scope of Webb's operation became clear. He hadn't been working alone. The ambulance modification had been done by his brother, Carl Webb, who ran a medical equipment repair shop and had legitimate access to emergency vehicles. The secondary location was a warehouse on the outskirts of Denver, where investigators found evidence of a human trafficking operation. The missing hospital employees had been held there before being transported out of state and sold into forced labor. This was sophisticated, FBI agent Lisa Rodriguez told the media. Webb was using his insider knowledge to identify victims, his security access to abduct them, and modified emergency vehicles to transport them without suspicion. If that dog hadn't alerted, we might never have uncovered this network. Rebecca Torres and Dr. Martinez were hospitalized but expected to make full recoveries. Both credited Ranger with saving their lives. "I could hear that dog barking," Rebecca said from her hospital bed. "Even through the drugs, even in that dark space, I could hear him. I knew someone was looking for us." Dr. Patricia Coleman, a veterinary behaviorist, was brought in to study how Ranger had detected the hidden victims when human searchers had missed them entirely. "Dogs have sensory capabilities we're only beginning to understand," she explained. Ranger likely detected a combination of factors: the victim's scent, their distress pheromones, possibly even the sound of their breathing or heartbeats that were inaudible to human ears. "But how did he know to focus on that specific compartment?" Martinez asked. "Dogs process sensory information differently than we do," Dr. Coleman replied. "While we rely primarily on vision, dogs create a 3-dimensional scent map of their environment. Ranger probably detected the human scents coming from an area where humans shouldn't be, behind what appeared to be a solid wall." The case highlighted the incredible value of canine units in law enforcement. Ranger's alert had not only saved 2 lives but had exposed a trafficking network that had been operating for over a year. Marcus Webb was arrested and charged with kidnapping, human trafficking, and conspiracy. The evidence against him was overwhelming: modified vehicles, victim testimonies, security footage, and physical evidence from the warehouse. During the trial, Ranger became something of a celebrity. The prosecution argued that without the dog's alert, the trafficking operation would have continued indefinitely. "Ranger detected what human investigators missed," Prosecutor Janet Miller told the jury. "His instincts were sharper than our technology, his determination stronger than our protocols. He literally barked until someone listened." Webb was convicted on all charges and sentenced to life in prison without parole. His brother Carl received 25 years for his role in modifying the vehicles and maintaining the warehouse facility. The case led to significant changes in hospital security protocols across Colorado and beyond. The Webb case, as it became known, exposed vulnerabilities in healthcare facility security that had been exploited by someone with insider access. "We implemented new procedures for vehicle searches, employee disappearances, and security chief oversight," explained Dr. Robert Kim, administrator at Mercy General. "We also added canine units to our security protocols." Ranger became the template for a new program training dogs specifically for healthcare facility security. His ability to detect hidden human trafficking victims inspired similar programs at airports, border crossings, and other locations where traffickers might attempt to transport victims. The investigation into Webb's network revealed connections to trafficking operations in 7 states. Federal prosecutors estimated that over 50 people had been victims of the network over its 3-year operation. This case changed how we think about human trafficking, Agent Rodriguez explained. Webb showed us that traffickers can use legitimate emergency services infrastructure to move victims. We had to completely rethink our detection methods. Ranger's role in the case made him a poster dog for anti-trafficking efforts. He appeared at awareness events, training seminars, and educational programs designed to teach people about the signs of human trafficking. Ranger received numerous awards for his role in exposing the trafficking network, including the American Kennel Club's Award for Canine Excellence and recognition from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But for Martinez, the most meaningful recognition came from the victims themselves. Rebecca Torres sends Ranger a Christmas card every year, Martinez shared. Dr. Martinez has visited him at the station several times. They know he saved their lives, and they want to make sure he knows it too. The case also led to improved training for canine handlers, emphasizing the importance of trusting their dog's instincts even when human logic suggests otherwise. Ranger taught us that dogs don't just detect what's there, Martinez reflected. They detect what shouldn't be there. In this case, human sense in a place where no humans should have been hidden. 3 years after the case, Martinez and Ranger continued their partnership with a new understanding of what they were capable of together. They'd assisted in several other trafficking cases, always guided by Ranger's remarkable ability to detect hidden victims. The Webb case changed how I work with Ranger, Martinez explained to new canine handlers. I learned to trust his alerts even when I couldn't understand them, to investigate thoroughly when he showed unusual interest in something. Their partnership had saved dozens of lives and had helped expose multiple criminal operations. But Martinez never forgot that it all started with a dog who wouldn't stop barking at an empty ambulance. Research into Ranger's capabilities contributed to a better understanding of how dogs can be used in anti-trafficking efforts. Studies showed that trained canines could detect human trafficking victims with remarkable accuracy, even when they were hidden or unconscious. Dogs like Ranger are revolutionizing law enforcement, Dr. Coleman published in her research. Their sensory capabilities allow them to detect crimes that traditional methods miss entirely. The research led to expanded canine programs focused specifically on human trafficking detection, with dogs trained to recognize the scent signatures associated with trafficking victims. Today, Martinez and Ranger work as part of a specialized anti-trafficking unit, partnering with federal agents and international organizations to combat human trafficking networks. Every time Ranger alerts, we take it seriously, Martinez said, because we learned that when he barks, there's always a reason, and sometimes that reason is someone who desperately needs to be found. Their work continues to save lives, guided by the lesson learned in a hospital parking garage that sometimes the most important voices are the ones that never stop barking until someone listens. I still get chills thinking about that parking garage, about how close Rebecca Torres and Dr. Martinez came to disappearing forever into a trafficking network that had been operating under everyone's noses. If Martinez had ignored Ranger's barking, if he'd assumed the dog was just being difficult or distracted, those women would have vanished without a trace. Ranger's story teaches us something profound about the animals who work alongside us in law enforcement and public safety. They're not just tools or equipment, they're partners with capabilities that far exceed our own in many ways. Their senses can detect dangers we can't see, threats we can't imagine, and victims we can't find. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed a moment when an animal seemed to know something that humans couldn't detect, when their persistent behavior led to an important discovery? These instincts are more powerful than we often realize, and they deserve our attention and respect. Share your stories in the comments below, because at Saved by Tales, we believe that the bond between humans and animals creates possibilities we're still learning to understand. If Ranger's incredible story moved you, if it made you think differently about the animals who work to protect us every day, please share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that like button, subscribe to Saved by Tales, and help us continue telling the stories of animals whose instincts and determination save lives in ways we're only beginning to appreciate. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the most important alarms are the ones that bark until someone finally listens.